Hello, hi, y'all. It is Wednesday, Woden's Day, Mercury ruled day, but named after Woden or Odin, Voden. Wednesday, the 5th of January. The sun is in There's a whole lot of Capricorn and Aquarius energy. I'll just show you. I mean, I don't know if you guys care, but see that chart? See all this energy right here? That's a lot. And it's Saturn ruled or co-ruled stuff. So here we go. Sun in Capricorn, Moon in Aquarius, Mercury in Aquarius, Venus in Capricorn retrograding, Mars in Sagittarius, first thing not ruled by Saturn or co-ruled so far. Jupiter in Pisces, number 2. Saturn in Aquarius, Uranus in Taurus retrograde, number 3. Neptune in Pisces, number 4. And the Pluto in Capricorn, and the North Node is in Gemini. There is so much Saturnian and Uranian energy going on right now that it's really intense. I just finished Westworld, and it got me all revolutionary up and questioning my reality. And then, of course, reality as it stands, so tricky, so interesting these times. I guess we asked to be here, but sometimes it's a little overwhelming, and I'm like, I need a vacay. So let's go ahead and see what's going on in the cards. Hopefully, y'all are doing all right out there. We've got the Hanged Man. But of course, hurry up and wait. This is a major arcana card on the Fool's Journey, right? This is literally Woden's Day. This is Odin on the tree of Yggdrasil hanging upside down, or Jesus on the cross, however you kind of want to look at this stuff. It comes after, or right before death and after justice. So when the scales, when everything is seen as it truly is, you kind of get a new perspective, and that perspective leads to a transformation, death card. Anyway, the Hanged Man, surrender to the unknown, and I've got to do this personally. I'm sure you all do too. Let me make sure this isn't like is visible, because sometimes it just gets all blurred out, washed out. So, surrender to the unknown, sacrifice your idea of power, allow the pause to give you perspective. Attainment of the tiger self and enlightenment are within reach, and I'll claim that. The Hanged Man, I now surrender, thy will be done. We are hanging in the balance. No matter how much conscious and concerted effort we are putting into moving things ahead, it's one step forward, 2 steps back. An incredibly frustrating and disheartening experience. Ask my fiance. I was very disheartened this morning. Depicted here as an upside-down, theatrical confidence trickster, an artful dodger and raconteur, the Hanged Man has lived successfully by his wits until now. Life has caught up with him. Trapped, suspended, upside down, he is seen hanging with a weight at his head, dangling over a precipice. The lightning that is stringing him up is symbolic of the power of nature to intercede. Uranus and Taurus, very electrical, being held by nature in an electric way. Life has a habit of intervening, showing us where we are out of balance, which is actually Kayana, which is a documentary that Philip Glass did the soundtrack to from the 80s. Is one of those installments is called Life Out of Balance. Very interesting movie. Check it out if you haven't. Life has a habit of intervening, showing us where we are out of balance, to wake us up and bring us back to our senses. The drive to survive, to push our limits, to succeed no matter what, trying to control life, pushing against life very often results in life pushing back. The unconscious will often represent the imbalance in our dreams as a warning, and if we repeatedly don't listen, it will stop us in our tracks. Our health suddenly fails, or we have an accident so that we are literally forced to stop and take stock. In the artwork, the Hanged Man is losing the gold, the riches that have filled his pockets, the falling away of all that he has acquired and accumulated. Caught by lightning, he is in a precarious position, and should he struggle, he'll very likely come crashing down to earth. Resistance is futile. When our lives are turned completely upside down by events, we are forced to surrender. It's no time to become impatient and negative, which is what I've been doing a lot lately. I'm trying to work on that. Digging deeply into failings, like, why is this happening? Why did I fuck up? Well, it's because of this. It's because this person. My dad did this to me. Or, all these numbers of things we tend to project on, which have accurate formational power, but that's not ultimately who we are. We're more than our story. So, I lost my place. In the artwork, the Hanged Man is losing gold, the riches that have filled his pockets, the falling away of all that he has acquired and accumulated. Caught by lightning, he is in a precarious position, and should he struggle, he'll very likely come crashing down to earth. Resistance is futile. When our lives are turned completely upside down by events, we are forced to surrender. It's no time to become impatient and negative, digging deeply into failings, but rather give up the struggle. There is little we can do out there in the physical world to shape our destiny. Instead, we must go within and make peace with ourselves. Hanging upside down, life is seen differently, akin to the practice of yoga inversion, that when the blood flow is reversed, flowing back to the heart, we feel it differently too. Dangling upside down, with lightning flaring at his feet, physical pain may also be a pathway into the physical body and his vulnerability. Vipassana meditations, one of India's most ancient meditational practices and disciplines, which uses the breath to scan the body, is powerful in reshaping the perception of pain, physical or mental, as merely a transient sensation. This too shall pass. The Hanged Man suggests you are being forced to take time out and look at your life from a different perspective, reconnecting with your bodily intelligence and heart, leaving external concerns. Turn off the TV. Breathe and sit. Travel within. Question and ponder the greater spiritual principles and laws that are in motion. Valuable lessons are there to be learned. Voluntary sacrifice, giving up the chase of worldly goods and experiences, significance and power may arise. The survival of the egoic self is handed over to the higher self for a selfless purpose. So the Hanged Man, surrendering to the unknown, sacrificing your idea of power, allowing the pause to give you perspective, and attainment of the tiger self and enlightenment are within reach. Like I said, I'll claim that. I think we're being told hurry up and wait. I know I am. And with all this Capricorn and Aquarius energy, it's like, let's go, let's get the revolution going. Where's the achievement? Where's the top of the pyramid? Where's the top of the mountain? I gotta go. And it's like, we're not there yet. We've still got so much to let go of. We've still got so many perceptions and so much baggage and so much to learn, ironically. And I'm in that season personally. I'm like ready to leave Colorado. I don't have a job. I'm sitting around in my mom's house basically being like, what's next? But between COVID regulations and a lot of, other stuff, I'm not really sure what to do. So I feel very hurry up and wait, very stuck. But hopefully my tiger self will come through all this. Hopefully this too will pass. And that's, a fact. But it doesn't always feel that way. Sitting on the cross isn't a fun prospect, right? Basically. And that's what we're being called to do right now. So if you're being a little too antsy in the pants, take a chill pill and realize that you're having to be where you are. You're always where you need to be. Look around and see what that is. What's the lesson in front of you? I've got so many lessons that I've been trying to avoid for many years, and now they're hitting me pretty hard. But that's part of the process. That's how we learn. 3 of air. This higher self, this dragon, is teaching us the language of death and transformation, of wisdom, of things that illumine us. But sometimes that comes through a process of, feeling stranded or abandoned by God or alone or strung up, left out to dry. So the 3 of air is the clarifier. With Mercury in Aquarius, this is very resonant. And North Node in Gemini, the last moments of that. Saturn in Aquarius. 3 of air. Education, talent, study, willingness, guides and teachers, comprehension, communication, and perception. This says expand your mind. Every experience offers a lesson, even the ones that are unpleasant, even when you're losing, like what? Wealth, health, mobility in the world, all this kind of stuff. Just sit tight and breathe and let it wash over you, right? That's all a lesson. Education is a lifelong process. You're not just going to get to the, when you graduate a class, you go to the next class. It's never ending story. Learning aids comprehension. Lessons repeat until we understand. Learning transforms talents into skill. Don't kill the messenger. Ignorance is nothing to be proud of. I've got to be careful with that, that I don't, when someone tells me a truth I don't want to hear, I don't shoot them. And hopefully you don't do that too. If someone's like, oh, you have to get the vaccine, or oh, you should not get the vaccine, or whatever the message is. Oh, you should do psychedelics, or you should never do psychedelics. You should do yoga. Yoga's the devil. Whatever, the message is on any polarity scale. Don't shoot the messenger. Just kind of let it wash over you, see what resonates. Thank them for their, information, and hold tight. What needs to fall away will. Meaning, the 3 of air symbolizes the importance of education and study in helping us to reach our highest potential, and reminds us that education should be thought of as a lifelong process, right? North Node of Gemini, you are a student of life. You are not ever going to be a master. Being a master is learning how to submit to the Tao, learning how to, be still and know. That's this whole point. Life itself teaches us Every experience can offer us a lesson. The people around us and those who come into our lives can all teach us and guide us. They can give us insight into who we are, who they are, and our relationships within society, nature, and our immediate environment. Education serves to help the individual develop an understanding of life and to comprehend it. It helps to maintain a sense of freedom and purpose. It helps us to determine whether a situation is right or wrong for us, and provides us with other options. It also helps us to see that there can be long-term ramifications, rewards, and consequences to our actions. We learn of our history. We learn of our possible future. We learn about nature and the world. We learn about ourselves as a race. Very Aquarius. I don't think the moon is there anymore. I forgot what I said now. No, it is. Last degrees. Moon and Mercury in Aquarius, right? North Node in Gemini. It's like, get the broad picture here. It's kind of like, in a sense, with Capricorn Sun and all this Capricorn energy, we're climbing mountains, but we're hitting false summits. It's like, shit, I thought this was the top. It's actually one of a chain, and it's many going up to Mount Everest. It's not just like one Fuji kind of situation. Mount Fuji. We learn from our history, we learn of our possible future, and we learn about nature and the world. We learn about ourselves as a race, and we learn about the universe in which we dwell. The knowledge we receive via an education empowers us, and the more we know, the more we can accomplish. Education helps us to use our minds and our senses to our benefit. It protects us from being fooled, manipulated, and deceived, and it also gives us the means to follow our dreams. The more we learn, the more we can comprehend, and the easier it becomes to communicate and express ourselves. But to become both learned and educated takes time, Capricorn Sun. And a willingness to commit oneself to a lengthy process of study, Moon and Mercury in Aquarius, like become the mad scientist, takes a little while. And evaluation of information we have gathered, North Node in Gemini, Saturn in Aquarius. Like, how are you processing the data? The data of experience. You're going to have all sorts of experiences come through you. Some will stick, some will be dropped. Death is an ultimate drop, it would seem. We must observe and listen, study, absorb, and be tested, Capricorn, be tested, to see if we comprehend what we have learned, and then observe more and listen more, study and absorb and be tested once again. This is the song that never ends. And there's pit stops where you lose the baggage if you're willing and able, and then you're allowed to basically have more room for data and experience and potential wisdom. And the three of arrows reminding us to move through life with the intention of learning from life, from our experiences and from the people around us, from the world around us. To accomplish this, we can ask questions about everything and everyone with whom we come into contact. Very Team Rabbit Hole. The podcast is 260 episodes deep, 261 today with Lauren Emily. She's coming back on. We ask questions. I'm a Sun and Moon Gemini. My co-host is a Libra. It's how we do. Very air, three of air. To accomplish this, we ask questions about everything and everyone with whom we come in contact. We seek out our elders and those who have different customs, because one will teach us of traditions and of a history that is not discussed in books, and the other will expose us to ideas and beliefs that are different to our own. North Node of Gemini. Don't just be stuck in South Node Sagittarius, where it's like, well, I'm Amish and I'm never going to leave the farm, and I believe what this book says, and that's that. It's like, maybe that's a bad hanged man situation. You got to let go of some of those baggage things, right? The cultural baggage as well, and then be willing to learn new stuff. What's possible? North Node in Gemini. For the last moments, it's going to kick into Taurus, and it's going to be like, all right, what have you learned? Show us. Listen to their stories. Allow them to teach you their trade, of their history and culture. Learn from them and their lives, and you might discover they have given you the means to improve your own life. When we have the desire to learn and to nurture our talents, while patience will stand us in good stead, a desire for instant gratification will likely hinder us. It takes us true willingness to commit oneself to study and learning, right? Not this immediate gratification, this slow and steady wins the race, right? Capricorn Sun, Venus in retrograde Capricorn. It's like, don't just reach for the cupcake because it's tasty. You're going to have to work off those calories. Maybe go for the apple. It's still going to trigger your satiation of sweet. And it's got more fiber in it, I promise you. It takes a true willingness to commit oneself to study and learning. You got to really hang yourself and sit there in it. You can't just 9 days on the tree, Odin. He's like, okay, well, how about 4? No. Or 3 days on the, in hell, on the cross, Jesus. It's like, well, the Passion of the Christ is actually a really good Martin Scorsese movie with Willem Dafoe as Jesus. I've only seen it once, but it's, what if Jesus got off the cross? That's the last temptation, right? To get off the cross, to get off that tree. The power comes from withstanding immediate gratification sometimes, even of the mind. To learn something well, it requires dedication, commitment, and time. Very Capricorn Sun. Sometimes it takes a lifetime. And sometimes the lessons offered will repeat and repeat and repeat until we can perform a task as naturally and with as little thought as breathing. It is important to remember that sometimes learning cannot be rushed, and that practice will give way to ease and confidence. Repeated lessons and practice make it easier for us to understand and to comprehend. Well, I've been learning, Japanese for a long time. I've been doing Spanish now. You can learn a language. You just have to take time and actually observe it openly. Comprehension is the ability to understand the lessons we have learned, and sometimes to do so requires both effort and willingness in the form of time and an open mind, right? Openness, in a sense like, here, God, take me and do what you will. Thy will be done, right? And an open mind. You're dropping all the baggage, all the clutter, mental, material, emotional, relational, all these things. Economic. Sometimes it requires learning certain lessons several times. And as an addict, someone who's gone, oh, it's starting to snow. As an addict, someone who's like, oh, I could handle my booze this time, or oh, I could smoke weed a little. It's like, no, I've had to ask my brother or ask my fiance. She's only known me for 2 years, but my brother's known me as long as I've gotten into weed, more than half of my life. I'm 36 and I started at 15. That has been a monkey on my back. And at this point I'm saying no to that. I'm not against weed. I think people should all smoke, but learning when the lesson has reached its, point. Like, do you want to keep going to summer school? You can. The more you educate yourself, the more you know, the more you understand, and the more easier it becomes to step outside of yourself and see the world and your experience for what they truly are. In doing so, it becomes easier to find your place, purpose, or direction, to fulfill your goals and to lead a productive life. The three of air will appear in your cards when there is a need to expand your mind by educating yourself in order to improve and grow. Heard. So we need to expand ourselves by being willing to sacrifice our opinions, being willing to step out of our comfort zones. You can't just stay in the foxhole forever, or else the enemy will come upon you and shoot you in the foxhole, right? I mean, and that's a lesson, I guess. And you can live, die, repeat, like that Tom Cruise movie, over and over and over. Are you learning, though? Are you taking this and are you taking the knowledge and walking further up the mountain, or are you just kind of staying at base camp, running in circles? And we have to ask ourselves that. Being on the cross is not a fun process. Sacrifice leads to more. Just like an acorn, I'm sure when a fruit falls from a tree, it doesn't feel good. Maybe it doesn't feel anything, but it's like it has to release in order to expand. And I think that's really pretty much what Capricorn, Sun, Moon in Aquarius, Moon and Mercury in Aquarius, with Venus retrograde in Capricorn, Pluto in Capricorn, Saturn in Aquarius. See all this? It's like serious re-engineering energy. But Rome was not built in a day, as they say. So restructuring yourself, restructuring the world. Even if everybody, this is a hypothetical, even if everybody all of a sudden was like, I love psychedelics and I'm vegan and I work out and I'm totally, all my chakras are aligned. It would take a minute for the world to like adjust. And, what would we do about fossil fuels? What would we do about, mass farming and all this kind of stuff? So, because there's a lot of animals just sitting in their shit, being afraid until they die for bacon. Yay. Imbalance in positive polarity, right? We even have to let go of that sometimes and not just be like, well, everything's going to work out. It's like history shows us that, people who are naive get crushed. So we have to be wise as serpents and gentle as doves, but, not just like love and light. I mean, in a sense, there's this submission to God. So it is like God has me, but that does not mean that everything will feel good. Do you think the cross felt good? No, but it was a learning experience for humanity and Jesus or Odin, or however you're going to look at that analogy. And it basically made it so you couldn't bypass, which is what impositive balance is. I last night just got a huge surge of excitement to move back to Hawaii. And I lived there actually, I moved there in 2010, right when Jupiter entered Pisces last time. So I'm feeling that pull again. I don't know why. I have a Venus aspect in Honolulu, so I think that's probably part of it. But my fiance, God bless her, is like, it's basically a Democrat, which doesn't really matter, but like 97% vaccinated, 40-mile island with military bases everywhere. It's like, 5G Wi-Fi for sure and all this stuff. And, it would be a very stressful and limiting opportunity. So maybe before rushing into that, I should let go of maybe my, imbalanced positive perspective of how my life went there before. All right, so this is number 39. And it's nothing against Hawaii. But like if shit hits the fan, like they're going to walk, that's a place where they will hold you down and prick you with a jab, or, if flights stop, that would be a very much more difficult situation than continents. Not to say one is better or the worse. Anyway, 39, Pleiades, imbalance of positive polarity. Past timeline. In the ancient Pleiadian history, one of the core lessons, which is very reminiscent of Westworld, the core drives, core initiatives, core programming, one of the core lessons of the species had to do with denying the shadow side within, right? The more we learn about life, the further we go through life, the more we realize we've got light and dark in us, and we have to like let go of the I'm perfect. We're perfectly imperfect, and we're in process. And we have to kind of rise above that process. That's what this whole hurry up and wait thing and observe is all about. They only wanted to focus on the positive and habitually suppress their dark aspects. It is important to recognize and embrace all aspects, dark and light. You have a Union soldier in you, and you have a Confederate soldier in you. You have an Allied person in you, and you have a Nazi in you. You have Fauci in you, and you have Trump in you. It's like you've got all of it. It's all you. So, like, how do we deal with that? In your life now, try to see where you suppress the darkness inside, such as emotions or pain that you don't want to feel. See it, love it, and dialogue with it. Use it as part of your growth. In doing so, you will heal many old habits and patterns from past lifetimes on earth and in the stars, right? When we release perceptions, false perceptions possibly, and we open and dialogue with that dragon, with ourselves, with our mind, which is basically the bicameral self talking to itself at some level, we transcend the willful ignorance, potentially. This card represents one of the core lessons of the Pleiadian people when they were a young species. They had a tendency to push away the negative emotions and only acknowledge the positive in life. These unprocessed emotions festered on a collective level, and after millennia, this submerged energy had to be released. This unconscious negative energy created an immune system disease, very resonant to our times, that ravished the Pleiadian people. No one could find a cure. It wasn't until they sought help from the shamans of their society that they fully understood what was happening, right? They had to give up their perspectives and be like, hold on, maybe I don't know everything. Maybe we can go ask somebody for information that, shamans, very dragon energy, about wisdom, basically. New knowledge, new perspectives. So after much inner searching, right, that hanged man, the shamans realized that the repressed negative energy on a collective level was creating this immune disease. And there's a theory called Wetiko out there, right, where it's like this like mass hypnotic psychosis, basically, that almost like Old Georgie and Cloud Atlas. That's part of the innate, inherited traumas and DNA karma of our species, galactic and otherwise, possibly. So the shamans were like, shit, this has to do with, much inner searching. They were kind of doing this hangman thing and Three of Air. The shamans realized, epiphany, moon in Aquarius, that the repressed negative energy on a collective level was what was creating the immune disease. They made many suggestions to release this energy, right? Release. Hurry up and let go. Hurry up and wait and let go. They made many suggestions to release this energy, and eventually the disease did disappear. Humans are genetically most connected to the Pleiadian people, and we have a tendency to do the same thing, to push away our unpleasant emotions and the dark aspects of our psyches. Many of the diseases we face today are because of this repressed emotion. If this card is coming up in your reading, you're most likely having had an experience in the Pleiadian system during this era in which the issues of repressed emotion was happening. It is also a message to continue to stay connected to the emotions you are feeling and never push them away. You can write about them or face and embrace them in a meditation. If you make a commitment to this process, you will live a happier and healthier life, right? Commit to the process, Capricorn. Commit to what process? Knowing thyself, releasing illusions, trusting God, trusting life, that you're a student, you're a perpetual student. And that doesn't mean all you do is PE and cafeteria, right? You might have to go to science and math. You might have to go do drama and tell a speech in front of people and you're afraid of that. Don't just look at what you prefer, though at a level, preferences come and go, and you can learn more about yourself by extending past comfort zones and all this stuff. We can blind ourselves. I know for a long time, and I'm accused of it even now, of thinking psychedelics are better than they are, right? I'm like, oh my God, this is how it feels tripping. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm connected to the divine. I'm having to sit here and just learn and have it all wash over me. But at some level, maybe I'm thinking with rose-tinted glasses, and I have to be honest about that. For me, with cannabis and alcohol, that definitely is the case. I digress. So let's go ahead and get an animal oracle card. It's like, I know how to party with the best of them. I did for so long that it was like my lifeblood. And that's probably why I have white in my beard, quite frankly. Terrence McKenna beard patterning, might I add. But, responsibility happens. Intuition. How is that lightning going to strike you, right? How are you going to get the intuition from God? How are you going to release what you need unless you open to not just a polarity, one side, yin, only yin, no yang. Oh my gosh. Men are the worst. Women rule. Not okay. Men are the best. Women stay at home. Not okay. Right? We need to use our intuitions. The cat. I love cats. I haven't had a cat in a while. I miss cats. My last cat was named Gabriel. This is actually I'll be turning 37 in 6 months or whatever. Number 37. Cat. Felis catus. Intuition. Use and develop your intuition. Your gut feeling is correct. You are not your mind. right? We have to release, and even though we're learning and there's so much Aquarius energy, it's like absorb new data. It's like you're more than your mind. Release that presupposition as well. You are not your mind only. Develop your magical skills further. 3 of air. Introduce more play into your life. North Node in Gemini. The mythos. The Egyptian goddess Bast is the embodiment of cat energy, a very ancient deity. She was originally a lion goddess, somewhat like Sekhmet, but her leonine nature diminished in favor of the cat energy. It changed, right? Things transform. She transmuted her archetype even over time. People's perceptions of this energy changed. A very ancient goddess, Bast is featured in the Egyptian Book of the Dead. Statues of Bast usually depict either a woman with a cat's head or a regal, beautiful formed cat with royal symbology and sometimes a lion mask signifying a hidden, fierce nature. Bast offered protection to her worshippers in everyday life rather than in battle. So it wasn't about going out there and having the protection of the All-Father. It was like, you're going to be able to sweep up well and not like step on the glass that you dropped, like everyday life protection. As this was Sekhmet's role, that's the masculine, I guess, polarity of this energy. It seems like there was one energy and it split to like a domestic kind of small, helpful, playful cat, and then like a lioness that drinks blood on the battlefield. Sekhmet versus Bast, which is what this is. And she was the goddess who helped bring messages and guidance through intuition. Wednesday, Mercury ruled. Intuitive knowing. You're going to get epiphanies through exploration, through not just saying everything is all good, but it's like, but we're here to participate as well. How does that look? How should that look? You decide. All right, so Bast also demonstrated a loving, playful energy, just like a cat, right? The historian Herodotus traveled to Egypt in the 5th century BC and told of his experiences at the festival of Bast at the riverside town of Bubastis. He spoke of people traveling down the river by small boat and playing and jesting with people on the shore as they passed, North Node and Gemini. And very group, these are group activities, Moon and Aquarius, and essentially traditions, Capricorn, if you want to put it that way. Once they reached the temple, this very material Capricornic place of worship, he says, quote, they make a festival with great sacrifices and more wine is drunk at this feast than in the whole year, end quote. Sounds like a whole lot of fun. Not to me anymore. But basically they threw a Mardi Gras kind of situation. And in ancient Egypt, domestic cats were very much a part of city and family life. In a time when plague and disease could not easily be halted and could easily spread, the service of a fine feline hunter was appreciated. Venus retrograde in Capricorn. It's like when the world was kind of falling apart, this actually helped physically keep pestilence away. Cats became symbols of protection and royalty and were even mummified as companions and protectors of the dead in the afterlife. In Norse mythos, cats famously pulled the goddess Freya's chariot, surely an activity not for beginners. Cats have always been associated with the witchcraft of many traditions, especially in Europe. It was said that a black cat could give you good or bad luck depending upon your culture. Talk about like it's like, what is the truth on that? Are they just saying bad cats are bad or cats are only good? Imbalance in the perspective. And they are able to see spirits and travel between the worlds of the dead and the living at will. It is this association that made cats a target for burning and killing in the Middle Ages and encouraged the plague that was spread by fleas carried on rats. So, Sun in Capricorn, there's karma. If you kill an animal, the ecology, the ecosystem gets out of balance. And now there's all these rats with bubos on them, and they are giving you bubonic plague. The animal. Next to dogs, cats are the most popular domesticated companion animal. I say domesticated lightly because scientists believe they haven't quite completed the domestication cycle as yet, right? They're still learning what it means to be a domesticated animal. They're in their process. Hurry up and wait. It's okay. They're exactly where they need to be. Which, they tend to survive well on their own in colonies and still retain a very independent nature, which is very Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Aquarius. Humans have been a part of cat life for excess of 10,000 years, according to the latest archaeological information. They were invited in not just because of their appearance, but because of their abilities as mousers. They had a job, work, Saturn, Capricorn season. The Egyptians loved their house cats so much that if they died, there would be an official period of mourning that included eyebrow shaving of the humans, and their cat would be mummified and taken to Bubastis, Capricorn. Like, they took that shit seriously. The team members that affected their lives, Moon and Aquarius. Cats come in all shapes and sizes, and humans have spent a lot of time honing and creating specific breeds. However, from Siamese to Maine Coon, they are all feline and are all scientifically known as Felis catus, hence the name Felix the cat. Cats are small but athletic and are able to jump great distances. They are hypercarnivores and use a variety of vocal sounds and purring to the delight of humans and other cats. Scientists are still debating about the evolution of the purr, but I think most cat owners would understand that it encourages us to give them more of the treatment that makes them purr in the first place. In the main, it is a sign of contentment and happiness. The magic. Cat magic can be used in a variety of ways, including to increase your happiness, curiosity, a sense of play, and lightness, right? This kind of three of air, North Node of Gemini, Mercurial kind of energy. And paradoxically, when we may be wanting to connect with someone who has passed, the person hanging between worlds, when we're having to let go of things, bodies, minds, ideas, whatever. Cats are considered guides to the underworld and can help with mediumship. If you have a cat yourself, it is said that you have a blessing of any goddess who love cats, and so this can only enhance your life. Symbology, almond-shaped eyes. I've got that, but I think cats have more so. I mean, see your mask. Woman with a cat's head, chariot pulled by cats, vertical pupil, black cat. Status is of least concern. They're everywhere, obviously, our beloved friends, the cats. So let's go ahead and get an art oracle card. I think I haven't decided yet, but I think I'm going to play a song today. I have my acoustic guitar sitting here next to me, but I haven't decided what yet. I'll let it wash over me. Hopefully, I kind of synthesize a listen to a point. Filippo Marinetti. Talk about some Capricorn, moon, sun, Moon and Aquarius shit. This guy is a fascist during the Third Reich, but not exactly, as you'll see. So, engineering and totalitarianism and fascism and all this kind of energy. What Filippo Emilio Marinetti lacked in moral consistency, Capricorn is the devil card, right? He made up for in talent, which is also skills and achievement, Capricorn. And like ingenuity, genius, Moon and Aquarius. Mercury in Aquarius. Born in Egypt to Italian parents, educated in France and Switzerland, socialized in Italy, right? He got around. He was a cosmopolitan who embraced rabid nationalism, Moon in Aquarius, Sun in Capricorn, and was enamored with Mussolini's fascism. Marinetti founded Futurism, very Mercury and Moon in Aquarius. He started Futurism with a manifesto, right? He published words, ideas came to him, and he scribed it, wrote it in a book, published in 1909, so literally 100 years ago, fetishizing progress, machinery, violence, and warfare. Can you say Capricorn, Sun, Moon, Aquarius any louder? Mercury in Aquarius. He worked primarily on poetry and drama, mutinying against syntax, revolutionizing typography. In classic Marinetti style, he lambasted Hitler's inclusion of futurism on the roster of degenerate art, responding with supposed good intentions and definite anti-Semitism. So he's like, he was getting nagged by Hitler for his ideas, but he was basically like, no, guys, we're all good. Let's be fascists together. He was, as ever, both victim and aggressor of his muddled convictions, right? So he was his, don't be so positively imbalanced. He was his tormentor and, his best and worst friend, basically. So the advice we're getting from Filippo Marinetti is, your art should wage war. Your art should wage war. I think the war we need to wage is on ourselves ultimately, right? Getting rid of illusions, false dreams, but keeping that inner child learning and open. Harry Potter needs to learn certain attributes about what it means to be him, like he has a responsibility to deal with Voldemort and all this stuff, but that doesn't mean he doesn't go have butterbeer, right? He still lives life. But you got to learn your role, right? And use your intuition, use your mind with your heart fused together. That's kind of what intuition, I think, is. Emotional intelligence, like guided by a lot of things. And that should cause our art to wage war. We can use our process as an inspiration for ourselves and others that actually leads to knowledge, awareness, furtherance, a shedding of the naivete, right? Ultimately, putting us further and further into the intuitively to the place where we should belong. Right? This lightning isn't going to kill you. It's holding you up. Ride the lightning. And then you let go of that which no longer serves you. The caterpillar needs to let go of its body to become a butterfly. There's no kind of negotiating there, right? So your art should wage war. Your perceptions should challenge your reality, shock it, melt it, let it, transform it. I mean, it's very Aquarius, Moon, and Mercury, and, Capricorn, Sun, Pluto, Venus, and retrograde in Capricorn, all that energy. So the stone we're getting today is astrophyllite. You could quantumly entangle with this. It's pretty aggro looking stuffs. Very Capricorn, Sun, Aquarius moon. Very alien, but very hard looking, not soft. Astrophyllite. What it is, astrophyllite gets its name from the Greek word for star or in leaf. And guess what? He's hanging on the tree of Yggdrasil like a leaf dangling in fall, shedding the leaves, not what's no longer necessary. It forms in precise brown-orange metallic blades that contain titanium and iron, very rare and very expensive. It's found in only a few isolated locations near Pikes Peak, Colorado, very near me, about 2 hours away, and in Norway and Quebec. Fascinating. Who needs it? Anyone with a permission slip for an intergalactic field trip. Mercury in Aquarius. Like, moon in Aquarius. You're emotionally allowed to be a weirdo right now, a freak, but your freak journey is going to be, everybody loses innocence. Everybody loses perspectives that no longer serves them. That is part of the teaching process of life. So don't resent it. And then when you get those lessons, shout it out to the world and show them that's your declaration or manifesto. That's your war that you're waging on yourself, ultimately. Who needs it? Anyone with a permission slip for an intergalactic field trip. Where to put it? Wherever you go to blow the lid off, i.e. Vipassana, which was mentioned in another card, the Hanged Man, talking about Vipassana. So it's something I wanted to do before COVID, but right now they're like, you have to have vaccination proof. So, but it's a 10-day silent retreat where you're kind of just like, I am not my thoughts. I'm not this. I'm not that. So wherever you need to go blow the lid off, i.e. Vipassana retreats, an energy vortex, Area 51, Moon and Mercury in Aquarius. When to use it, when it's time to step outside of yourself. Guys, I hope you're enjoying the synchronicities as much as I do. Stepping outside of yourself, right? Learning a thing or two about the world and yourself through what process? Through shedding illusions that lead to higher intuitions. That is the war that we're waging, and that should be reflected in the art that is your existence. When to use it? When it's time to step outside of yourself, like way outside. Moon in Aquarius, North Node in Gemini, to the stars. Call on the energy of astrophyllite to electrify. Can't make this shit up. To electrify you with superhero purpose so you can take flight. Jesus had to go through his shit so he could become like, God-man, like, risen from the dead or whatever. Odin had to sacrifice an eye and hang on the tree of Yggdrasil to become the All-Father in that way. This says, unlike your highest potential. And that's really what we're doing right now, folks. We're shedding that which no longer serves us. We're waging war, hopefully creatively, on our illusions. We're gaining knowledge. Through our intuitions, we're gaining knowledge. Like, what do we want to seek? Follow your heart. Follow your excitement. See that your heart will light up and say, yes, I love this. And then find the things that resonate with that and learn more about it. Don't just learn about only things you prefer, right? Don't just be like, well, death isn't a thing. That's the whole Buddha's trip, right? He's like, I lived in the perfect situation and I didn't have any wants or needs. And then he's like, but I got to go like figure shit out and lose my illusions here. Death, suffering, and age and all pain and all these things he saw, Buddha, are real. And you can kind of try to hide yourself from that, right? And say, oh, everything is awesome and it's all perfect and there's no poor dead people here. We don't, nobody's aging. We all use Photoshop, whatever. We're going to have to wake up our intuition to the fact that that's not all that the way the cookie crumbles. That's not all there is. Beauty, like vanity, is things we cling to. Things are worth, truth, beauty, love, all these things are ideals that are beautiful, but we can't make good things ultimate things, as Tim Keller would say. He's a great pastor, Christian pastor of Redeemer Presbyterian. He's retired now and dying of cancer, but my grandparents actually founded his church in Manhattan back in the 80s or early 90s, and he's always like, don't make good things ultimate things. That's how we get out of balance. And, he's like, oh my gosh, I've got all these cool trinkets and contraptions and all these electric guitars and all these computers. It's like, that isn't going to work. You can't take that to the eye of the needle. You got to learn that lesson, right? And then we have room for more kind of uploading. So astrophyllite, unlock your highest potential. Let's go ahead and play an acoustic guitar song. I just don't have the patience to set up my electric right now, basically. It's a whole little process. And, of course, I left my glasses over there. 1 second. All right. So... I saw this the other day. Sardinia, Italy. Very beautiful. I guess the only good thing I like about Microsoft is that they... I don't care about Bing, bro. Why is Bing up? Punta Molentis Beach in Villasilis, Sardinia. Very pretty looking spot. So we're going to play a song that's talking about... hurry up and wait energy, but there's like good that will come out of that. we're learning things. Let me just kind of think for a second. I'm trying not to be too melodramatic. I sang it recently, but I'll do it again. I don't really care. It's an Elliott Smith song called "Passing Feeling." That's kind of what we're being told to do, right? The song is about suicide and what happens when you pull the trigger and like you're waiting for the bullets to drop and what's happened and all that. But yeah, we're hurry up and waiting. I'm just gonna sing the song and I'll stop trying to explain myself. And here we go, an Elliott Smith song. All right, I always kind of do this in a key that I'm not used to. So, everything's gone but the echo of the burst of a shell, and I'm stuck here waiting for a passing feeling in the city I built up and blew to hell. I'm stuck here waiting for a passing feeling. Still I send all the time my request for relief. I'm having to adjust these chords in my mind as I play because these aren't the right chords. Saying, yeah, these aren't right. Damn it, hold on. Let me go to a different chord version of this because that's just not correct. Technical difficulties. We are in Mercury shadow period and retrograde as well as Venus retrograde. So the beauty. Oh, let's try this again, right? I think this is correct. That doesn't make sense. You guys are watching me on the fly kind of figure things out. All right, whatever. I'll try to do it as sang. So, starting over. Ready? Everything's gone but the echo of the burst of a shell. Very Hanged Man. And I'm stuck here waiting for a passing feeling in the city I built up and blew to hell. I'm stuck here waiting for a passing feeling. Still I send all the time my request for relief down a dead power line, though I'm beyond belief in the help I require just to exist at all. Took a long time to stand, took an hour to fall. Stuck here waiting for a passing feeling. I'm stuck here waiting for a passing feeling. Still I send. I'm always singing a little out. Still I send all my time my request for relief down a dead power line, though I'm beyond belief in the help I require just to exist at all. Took a long time to stand, took an hour to fall. Or something. Sorry about the technical difficulty there. One of the risks, one has, and hanging in the open, not knowing what's going to happen improvisationally, it's a risk I'm willing to take and I enjoy, so it is what it is. But hey, there's bumps along the ride. And you're stuck here waiting for a passing feeling. All the help you need to be held up on, still all the electricity isn't going down the dead power lines. The communication isn't working. Why? Because you're clogged. So we need to take our intuitions, we need to go within, right? This isn't going to be found outside of yourself in a sense. You need to go within. You need to unlock your highest potential with Astrophyllite by removing blinders and just being like, I only pursue what I prefer. At a level, that's what we're designed to do. But we have to challenge that sometimes and let go of certain preferences. It's suitable to suck your thumb at a certain age. After a while, it's not as suitable, right? So I think we're here to learn right now. It's a powerful learning time, right? It's a powerful time, North Node and Gemini, to open up your mind for the last minutes, because it's about to kick into Taurus where Uranus is, and we're going to be having to prove what we've learned in the battlefield, like by, literally, or hopefully not literally, but metaphorically. Filippo Marinetti is saying, your art should wage war. And even this song is waging a war on perceptions of death, suicide, codependence, depression, all that kind of stuff. But your art is waging war. Your life is waging war. You are a point of many tensions resolving infinitely forever. And there's no still point, I guess. I mean, the still point is the Zen kind of point, but there's no sitting still. Try to approximate that as much as you can, and you will get into your intuition, right? That's how you tap into your higher self, your higher power, and you lose the illusions. The scales on your eyes fall off, and you start saying, holy shit, I'm learning. Holy shit, death is just a door. Holy shit, there's spirits always guiding me. Holy shit, I can learn. I can actually grow. And then you take those passions and lessons, right, and you take it to the world. You show others what you're finding. You wage war in a positive sense. You crusade, right? The positive polarity, I guess, of South Node and Sagittarius. How can you wage war without, I think Francis of Assisi said, preach the gospel, preach the gospel, preach the gospel of Jesus Christ, right? Christian stuff. Preach the gospel, preach the gospel, preach the gospel, and if necessary, use words. So Capricorn Sun, Moon in Aquarius, it's like we're rewiring quite a bit. So don't feel bad if you feel kind of hung out to dry. And there's a lot of Saturnian energy, and you're just like, what the fuck? I don't know. I want to go, but I can't. I'm stuck here. I'm in quarantine, basically, essentially. The whole world is, and we're having to wage war with what our new knowledge and our inspiration from our intuitive selves that loses the false positivity. We can't just drink Pepsi and fucking drive Lamborghinis. That's not all available to us. Does that make those things bad? No, but we have to be a little wiser. We have to be better stewards of our world. We have to be better stewards of ourselves. And I think that's ultimately why we're letting go of, all that glitters is not gold, and the gold can be dropped, and one day you'll say, thank you for that, thank you for the next thing, thank you for that, thank you for the next thing. That's kind of where we need to be. Holler for readings if you want. $33 for an hour of cards, $88 for 3 hours of astrology, $111 for both. It's usually 4 or 5 hours, so a big chunk of time, but well worth it. 5 stars only. People love it. I love it. The podcast, we have Lauren Emily coming on today. Lazuli. She's a really cool girl who's been on twice, and we'll see how she's doing. She's going to be the first guest of the year, but this will be the 261st episode. We've had David DeAngelis, the artist of this deck, as well as, Stacey DeMarco, the creator of many decks, this deck, on the podcast. We've had Richard Rudd, the Gene Key creator, really interesting system. Rupert Sheldrake, Terrence McKenna's buddy, as well as a scientist who had a banned TED Talk. If you want to, really interesting moment. Not only is the Joe Rogan episode that just got banned off of Spotify and stuff, it's on BitChute. So type in Joe Rogan banned podcast on BitChute, telling you basically why you should not be taking this boosters and stuff like that, what the agenda possibly is behind it. But Rupert Sheldrake himself has a banned TED Talk, as does Graham Hancock. Graham Hancock's is the war on consciousness, because he's like, psychedelics really help us know unified thinking and all this stuff, and there's a reason it's illegal, blah, blah, blah. And people want to control your minds. And Rupert Sheldrake's was the science delusion, 10 kind of presuppositions that dogmatic material reductionists use as kind of their reality that they need to let go of. They need to get back into their intuition and not just say, well, everything that we see and touch is all there is, and anybody who thinks otherwise is crazy. Really cool guest. Anyway, I digress. A lot of good episodes, a lot of good content, top caliber shit. Check it out. Team Rabbit Hole Podcast. I'll put a link on here. Holler for readings at Brother Jim, i.e. me. And I hope you have a beautiful Wednesday, Woden's shaking out in your mind what, just shake it out, like shake out what you don't need and trust the process, because you will be guided, but it might not be how you thought, right? You might have, oh God, I'm dropping everything. It might not be how you thought. Let's just leave it there. Adios.